Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, comedian, magician, Danny Whitson. But it's all tricks aside, because tonight we're turning the paranormal into the normal. Join me as we explore the gray areas of reality. We're going to talk all things paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, and see how it's all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and we are live. So if you're an experiencer yourself, or you're just plain nosy, be sure to send me your question and subscribe to the podcast. Now, get ready, because it's going to get deep. No, really, we're going to go way out there, because this is Beyond the TinFoil Hat. What's happening, my paranormal junkies? Welcome to Beyond the TinFoil Hat, and I'm your host, comedian magician Danny Whitson. We got a good show tonight for you guys. You don't want to miss it. We got some exciting news on the Tessa Facebook page. We got some really cool articles. So if you get out to Ryan Stacy, Paranormal UFO Investigator on Facebook, you can check them out. Also, go over to the website, experiencersupport.org, and check out some of the articles there. A lot of cool stuff popping up on the website, guys. And like always, for you experiencers out there, if you would like to reach out to Ryan, tell him your story. He is there to help you. He's there to listen. He's there to investigate. So be sure to check that out. Guys, big news coming. We've got really big news coming next week. You don't want to miss it. We're going to wait. We're going to hold off. We're going to make the announcement next week. But really, really big news. And when I say big news, I mean like big news, like big penny-sized news. Okay, maybe a little bigger than maybe a big penny. Maybe just okay, well, you get it. Anyways, let's get the show rolling. Guys, if you got questions, get them up here, because you're going to want, I'll tell you, tonight's guest, she's done a whole lot of stuff. She's a beekeeper, which is super cool. She loves the environment. She wants to take care of this planet. She's a digital forensics expert, writer, publisher, and organizer of the most active UFO group in the United States, Albuquerque UFO UAP Explorations. Let's welcome tonight's guest, Birdie Jaworski.
Hey, Danny. So glad to be here.
How you doing, Birdie?
I'm doing awesome. I'm having a great night.
First of all, I want to say this. Is there a better name for somebody who studies UFO than Birdie? You know what I mean?
There is not. There is not. It's the perfect name.
Definitely up and out there, folks. So I tell you what, if you don't mind, we've got some amazing viewers that tune in every week to watch this show. So if you don't care, you maybe introduce yourself a little better to them.
Absolutely. My name is Birdie, and I am the organizer for the most active UFO group in the entire country, Albuquerque UFO UAP Explorations. We also go by ABQ UFOs for short. And we host 5 to 10 different events every single month. We have guest speakers, we have film showings, picnics, field trips, live streams, all kinds of exciting things for people in our community and outside our community. Many of our events are online. And I have been a UFO experiencer myself. My first experience happened when I was just 7 years old. And aside from that, I am a beekeeper of some years now. I have hives in my backyard, and I have worked with other people in their beekeeping efforts. And I am a writer and publisher. And I am starting a new UFO magazine that is actually launching next week called Saucer Spin. And it's going to have all kinds of cool articles about what's happening with UFOs today, profiles of famous people and people maybe you've never heard of, and all kinds of experiencer stories from folks in my group who are sharing what's happened to them, because it's just interesting, and everyone's so excited in the world everywhere I go. And people ask me what I do, and I say I do UFOs. They want to hear about it. They've heard about UFOs in the news, about the congressional hearings. They want
Oh
to
yeah.
know.
Well,
Times are changing.
they are changing, and it's weird times. It's really
It is
such a
weird. It
weird,
is
crazy time.
very weird times.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's almost like you could look in probably the past 10 years, and it's a pretty crazy sci-fi movie that we live in.
It is.
Well, let's back all the way up to when Birdie was 7 years old. Okay. Your
All right.
first UFO, this was your first UFO experience.
It was. I was 7 years old, and I'm giving my age away here, but it was 1972. So yeah, I'm almost 60. But
Okay.
I was with my younger sister. She's 1 year younger than me. And it was just after Christmas. It was in that Christmas break time. And we had gotten for Christmas a Lone Ranger and a Tonto doll for our Christmas presents, which was, the Lone Ranger was really big back then.
Oh yeah.
And we were dolls on the floor, up on the second floor of our family home. And there was a little bit of snow coming down outside. And it was about, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night in the winter. So, it was getting pretty dark. And we saw coming in through the window this really strange light. And it was an odd color. It wasn't quite blue. It wasn't quite green. Wasn't quite gray. It was this strange mixture. And we dropped our dolls, and both of us turned to look at the window. And this light was coming in, and the light was originating from this big gray metallic disc that was hovering right outside. I don't know how far away it was. I was a little kid, but we could only see half the disc in the window, and the light was coming like straight out the seam, if it had a seam along that whole center edge, just coming right toward us. And as we're staring at it, our dolls like jumped up into the air, right side up, and started twirling in opposite directions. And then they just fell. And that is the last thing that either one of us remember. And we've talked about it since then, but what I was 7 years old, I never heard of UFOs. I didn't know what a UFO was. I didn't know what it was in the morning. I told my mom, and she said, "Oh, you just had a bad dream." That's all it was. But
your sister saw it too.
My sister saw it, and we just called it the night the dolls danced, because we didn't have a frame of reference. And it wasn't until a few years later when I heard out about UFOs, and then I became absolutely obsessed, and I've been obsessed the rest of my life.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
okay. This is something that I often wonder, especially when they have experiences at such a young age.
Yes.
There's that gap where you're a teenager and you're experiencing all that kind of life.
Right.
How did you deal with that? Did you dismiss it and put it back in the back of your mind, like, oh, that didn't really happen? Now I'm dating and I'm, doing this and doing things and experiencing high school. Do you get what I'm saying? I mean,
no, I totally get it. I every once in a while I would think about it, and I read obsessively every book I could out of the public library. And there was no internet then, no way to get information easily. I had to order books from the library, wait for them to come in, and then I would read. And there was a limited amount of material available, and some of it was over my head at that young age.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I just kind of forgot about it. And later, as a teenager, when I was 16, I had what I think is my second UFO experience, because I don't remember anything between 7 and 16. And at 16, I had an experience with 6 other girls my age at a sleepover.
Wow.
Yeah.
And let me say before we get into that is, I had a paranormal experience whenever I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember, the way I dealt with it eventually, I just kind of put it back,
right.
put it on the back shelf. And and didn't come back to really dealing with it until I was an adult. But with you had another experience at 16 years old.
Yes.
So what happened there?
It was a sleepover party, and weirdly enough, again, it was over Christmas vacation, and same town. And 6 of my girlfriends and I were at a girlfriend's house, and we were having a big slumber party. And this was, early 80s. And we were all hanging out playing, as teenage girls do, at least at that time, truth or dare. So, you'd be asked a question. And if you wanted to answer the question, you would just say truth and answer the question. And if you really didn't want to answer that question, you'd take the dare. And I did not want to answer the question asked of me. So I took the dare. And of course, my friend said, okay, you have to get naked and run around the whole yard singing the theme to the Love Boat.
Of course. It's always that. It's always Love Boat and naked.
Like that. Right. Love Boat and naked. So I took my clothes off and I started running around her backyard, and circling the back of her backyard were these beautiful pine trees. And as I'm running along the edge of the yard, singing at the top of my lungs, love amazing and true.
Love Boat.
Exactly. This big orange diamond started floating over the rim of trees, and I stopped. And the last thing I remember from that experience was thinking I could pick up this pine cone and chuck it at it and it would hit it. And the next morning, I don't remember what happened next. And the next morning we went to breakfast. Her dad was making pancakes, and all of our faces were red, as if we were sunburned. And her dad said, "What, were you guys into the makeup?" And at that point, I didn't even remember the UFO that had happened the night before. It was just not in my memory at all. We were just like, oh, no.
That is, first of all, I'm sure the aliens are like, can you believe, what are the odds? A naked one running around the woods.
I know.
We got it right here. It's like fish jumping in the boat.
Perfect pickings, right? I know. Yeah, you don't even have to disrobe me for the anal probe. I'm right there.
There she is. Well, okay. Here is, first of all, we got to give a huge shout out to this viewer, Live Light. She's always here every week, consistent with some of the best questions of all time.
Hey, Liv.
We've got one here for you, Birdie. She says, hi, Birdie. Have you ever had a hypnotic regression in regards to that experience?
Liv, I never have. And I've thought about it many times over the years, and I have met people who do hypnotic regressions, and I just haven't done it. I think I'm a little scared, to be really honest, because I've read too much of the literature, and I know what happens when people undergo this experience. They may ultimately come on the other side and feel that what they experienced was spiritually enlightening in some way. They may feel that they have a greater cosmic connection to things, but they also remember the pokes and the prods and, the medical experimentation that is, maybe has been done. And I think I'm a little too scared to do it, to be honest. And so I never had it done. And I didn't even remember that second experience until a year later, during high school graduation. We had a big party afterward, the way you do. Everyone's out drinking in the woods, and my best friend was barfing in the bushes, and I was holding her hair back. And it was something about the light in the sky, and it just all came back to me. And I'm just like, oh my God, do you remember? Do you remember Terry's birthday party? And my friend said, the UFO. And she stopped barfing, stopped feeling sick. And we got together, the rest of the girls, most of them were at that party, and we just talked about it all night. And they all remember seeing it and seeing me, but they don't remember what happened next. So who knows?
Do you think this is something? So, I mean, I can totally get the, being terrified to have to what you might remember.
Yeah.
the who was it? Well, the Hills. Have you ever heard that? What they recorded with them, the first documented alien abduction.
Yes.
That's terrifying.
It's absolutely terrifying.
To listen to hear his response.
It is. Yes. And the fear and the terror and the whimpering in their voices,
God,
during,
so hard
it's awful, and I've known other people, just through the work I'm doing that have had similar experiences, and they've had these moments too, where they remember more than I do. And it's just mind blowing and soul crushing what they remember now. What the experience actually is or represents, I don't know,
Well, this is speaking out of ignorance when I say this, FYI. So no one, this is not to water down or disrespect anyone's experience that has had this abduction experience. But to me, I think at this point, probably I would think one of the most terrifying things about being abducted by aliens is the word not being out and it not being a popular thing. And you're like, what the hell's going on? What am I experiencing? But now, like, if aliens abducted me, I'd be like, okay, get this crap over with. All right, do what you got to do. That's what I'm thinking. Right. But I'd be like, can at least let me scratch my ear? Seriously, I can't move. This sucks. I don't know. I wonder if it still has the same fear as what it maybe did 30, 40, 50 years ago to people who had that experience, because now it's so well in it's in our culture.
It is in our culture. And I can't answer that question. I mean, that's a really great question. Has time kind of tempered the experience for people that had it years ago?
I think it does it with everything, not just this, but every topic.
True. That's true.
Whenever you look back, it's like looking back 50 years, how dumb we were. Can you believe like I'm sure me and you, I'm not aging us at all, Birdie, but my dad used to set me on the dashboard and say, son, let's go for a drive when I was just a child.
Exactly.
While he drank his beer and smoked with the windows up.
Right.
So, I mean, so I think after time, I think maybe some of the things that we might lose our fear of. And I'm not saying it's okay, aliens, I'm yours. Leave me the hell alone. But I just think, after so much time, maybe we get a little and while we're on the topic, do you think that's the plan? Do you think maybe that's the plan to, let us in a little bit at a time so we can handle the truth better whenever the truth does happen?
I do think that's what's been happening with the current disclosure process, certainly. And I think that's actually been going on for longer than 2017 when, the Tic Tac and the gimbal and the Go Fast videos came out. I think that we've slowly been progressing toward acclimating the public through television and movie shows, Close Encounters, even E.T., things like that. These are...
Well, the whole rumor about E.T. was...
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever heard that story about how the first time Ronald Reagan watched E.T., he whispered over to his Secret Service and was like, if these people had any clue that we've actually got these things here now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you pick up on those little things. But I'm with you, 100%, Birdie. I think, I've always said that the best way, well, a magician will tell you, any magician in the world will tell you, the best way to hide the secret is to roll it in a big pile of bullshit.
That's exactly right. That's, I think, what's been happening.
That's exactly what they're doing.
That is what they're doing. Little bit of truth, and then they're wrapping
a lot of lies.
National security today,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So, and what they'll do is there'll be some good stuff. You're like, wow, we're getting great information. And then they're like, let's throw in the crackpot now and throw them way off.
That's what they do. And then everyone just paints the entire subject by what the crackpot says.
And that's how people react. It takes one fraud. Oh, they all must be frauds. And that is not how it works. But that is a well-known technique.
Yes, it is.
That is a very well-known technique. And that's how they are, giving us a little bit of a time. And then whenever it gets a little too fast, they pull back.
Right.
So I think that's exactly what is happening right now. I don't know. Maybe we will live to see the day to where it's just common knowledge that they've been here, they are here. I do kind of lean a little bit on the interdimensional being kind of a side of things. But then again, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I know we don't have enough, the general public, we as members of the general public, maybe your Lone Ranger and Tonto doll spun out of control when you saw a strange light and something gray in the sky. But other than that, what do we know, really?
We don't know anything.
We don't know.
And a lot of reason why people, when you do get your critics out there, which we don't have critics that watch this show, we have, a lot of, but bring on the critics. I used to be a critic myself, and people will say, well, how come they just come, or how come they don't land on the White House lawn, or blah, 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 blah. That's,
I know.
I hate that. I hate that one. But
I know I've heard that so many times. I have lost count. But, if you just look at what's happening right now in Congress, for example, we've had multiple congressional hearings. There have been open and closed door sessions where the Arrow has, had their say with the congressional members.
And why would he, what was his name? I'm sorry.
Kirkpatrick.
Yeah.
Kirkpatrick. Yeah.
He came out of nowhere and said, I never found any. Then why are you telling this?
And then he wandered off into the sunset.
Exactly.
To his nice, fancy defense contractor cushy job.
So, no one believes you, dude. We know something. And one thing, just from doing this show, just from doing this podcast, I've talked to a lot of people. And it blows me away. And I hear a lot of these same type experiences. Yeah. So, there's no doubt in my mind, there's something going on. There's something more than our plain boring life that they want you to believe. Keep your head down, go to work, shut up, don't ask questions. I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist, but I'm just crazy. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, folks. I promise.
You're not even crazy. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have talked about experiences they've had. It's been recorded since the beginnings of human history. Paintings and rock carvings showing
the Bible
in the sky. The Bible, Ezekiel's wheels within wheels, the pillar of fire leading Moses and the Israelites, through the desert. It's all right there. And then there's all those secret books of the Bible that, the book of Enoch talks about the Watchers, and it's amazing
stuff that we don't even know. So, but no, I'm totally with you. And like, I started out, I wasn't, I believed in, and I'm also, I kind of believe a lot of this stuff is connected, like your paranormal, your UFO, interdimensional, all of it's a lot connected. Now, because I think, I think we operate on the in my opinion, I think there's two types of realities. There's this place right here, but then there's a spiritual conscious area where we're all connected. And with the universe. And, I think that's where a lot of this stuff happens, Yeah,
I think so too. There's so many different related areas. There are people, part of my UFO group is a number of people that go out once a month, the first Saturday of each month, and they go out to the foothills of the mountains here in Albuquerque. And they sit in a circle and they do a meditation where they raise their awareness and their consciousness in order to call in whatever might be out there. And oftentimes they will see things or they'll feel something. They have an experience. So I think that all of that consciousness, it's all related in some way.
It is. Now, let me ask you this. So you had this experience at 16.
Yes.
So did you set out to like, I want to make a career out of this, or I want to make this kind of like my life mission? No. What happened for you next there, Birdie?
Next, I got married, had kids, Eventually I went back to school, got my degree in digital forensics, worked in computer science, became a beekeeper, but I've always been super interested in this and have followed this really almost my entire adult life. I mean, there was a while at the very beginning, you're juggling little babies and, you don't have time for anything else. But when my kids got little older, then I started reading more and following more. And I started attending UFO conferences and talks. And, back then in the 80s, say, you had to go and, you'd save up your vacation money and your vacation time and you'd go somewhere and you'd go to a MUFON conference, for example, Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, and you would meet other people that were just like you, that had experiences, that were reading these things and excited. And then you'd go back home and, try to tell anyone else about it, family, friends, and they're just like, okay, you're a nut.
It's kind of weird, It's kind of weird. I tell people the in the early days of starting out, doing comedy and magic,
yeah,
you would go to this town on Saturday and you would be a star of the show. And then Monday you're back, in your hometown and no one gives it, hey,
exactly.
So it's very awkward, but no, I totally get it. I always ask this, cause I always find this interesting about, people like us, whatever that means. But how did your family take you? Did your husband be like, so she believes in aliens? She's hot. I don't care. She believes in aliens. Okay. It's a two-way street. I mean, so was your husband supportive? Are your kids cool with mom, or?
Well, okay. So I have 5 kids. They're all grown, out of the house. I have a granddaughter. I would say that all of my kids at this point believe that I believe it.
Gotcha.
And I would say that, and I would say that several of them think that there's probably something to it. And, I mean, when I think too, just if you look at you look at who's interested in this, because I've been to a lot of stuff over the years, and it seems to be an older crowd for the most part. They're people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, older than that. You don't see a lot of folks in their 20s and 30s or their teens. You might see a few, but I think that people that are, in those decades of their life, that they're so busy with building their career, with getting hooked up, growing a family, whatever they're interested in, that they don't have the time or the mental space unless they've experienced something themselves and become obsessed with it. So it's generally an older crowd. And, it's like, I'll give my dad, for example. My dad's an older guy. He's in his 80s. And he, I think, thought I was crazy most of my life, honestly, talking about all of this. But over the past year, he has really come around. And it's not just everything in the news. It's just how I'm talking about it and him realizing, okay, she hasn't dropped it in all of these years.
Yeah.
This, my daughter just hasn't dropped it. There must, so now he's on the, maybe there's something to it bandwagon. So, it's just kind of interesting.
And that's cool that you notice that. And see, that goes to show right off the bat, though, Birdie, that you're not batshit, that you do know what you're talking about. This is, very real. And
right.
The same thing, I wonder, there's times I've wondered what my kids, believe.
Right.
My wife's big paranormal. She's like, I've been believing this stuff for years. But here we got another question by Liv Light. Like I told you, she's the GOAT of questions, by the way.
Woo, Liv!
First of all, she wants to know, were you a teacher, Birdie? You have that vibe. If so, are the kids much more open to the UFO world and interdimensionals?
Okay, so Liv, I did teach for a while. I taught 8th grade here in New Mexico for a while. And those kids anything that I mentioned about aliens, they so wanted more information because they weren't getting it from their parents and they wanted to learn more. But I had to kind of watch, you kind of have to watch yourself when you're a teacher in the public schools, because you can't say too much outside of what might upset a religious apple cart, for example, or, someone who's
Miss Jaworski said that we came from aliens,
exactly.
not the birds and the bees.
Yeah, I wasn't calling anyone starseed in that class.
First of all, kudos to Liv. I think Liv's psychic. We're going to have Liv up on here on this show.
Yeah, Liv, seriously, girl.
She pulled one out of the hat a couple episodes ago. We had a lady talking about her book and about a comic she wouldn't name, and then Liv popped right up in there and nailed that bad boy. We know, So I was like, now we know we got psychic Liv in the house. But something else about kids, and I mean, and I even think, you did say it was more older people that are attending these things and stuff, but I think if you go talk to like the Gen Zs right now, I think they're more like, duh. Of course they're aliens.
Yeah,
of course they've been here.
I think that's true. I think that a lot of them, they're seeing the news. They're all over Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I watch everyone's social media, and I see.
I don't think the fear is there.
The fear isn't there. They're just waiting. They're waiting for announcements. They're waiting for the next big thing to happen, I think.
And I think, like our generation, we grew up with Star Wars, Star Trek. We had these cool things, in our faces, but also we had parents that's like, that's not real.
Exactly.
So, and then whenever we realized it is real, what the hell's going on? You're not supposed to be real. Well, okay. So many cool things. Now, so when did it happen to where you were like, I've got to organize this. Let's make this something bigger. The biggest UFO UAP,
Well, this was just sort of out of the blue. I decided that I was tired of, I have friends who are beekeepers and other friends in my life, but there was nobody, another girlfriend I could talk to about UFOs. And so I thought I would like to meet some people. So I started a group at the beginning on meetup.com, which, where you can meet different people with different interests. I started a UFO group there. And the first meeting I had at a coffee shop, and about a dozen people showed up. And from there, it has been growing and growing like crazy. I can't get over it. Now we have so many members, and we have a website. We've got our own podcast going, and we have guest speakers. Some pretty well-known names out there too have spoken to our group, and everyone's so excited about just everything. And we've got members from all over the world, not just in Albuquerque anymore, because we're doing a lot of online events, online Zoom events where you can share your experiences. And people have a hunger. This need for community, I think, is super important in the UFO space because, so many of us have been marginalized or made fun of, or, there's a big stigma attached to it. You feel like you can't talk to anyone about it. And now people are finding each other and they're wanting to share these experiences, and they're on board for the whole disclosure ride because all these amazing things happening right now. It's just gotten, everyone's awareness is like way up here. So it's exciting times.
I could, and it just goes to show you, because it's one of those things like there's so many people that have carried this around and terrified to tell other people their experience, what they believe, and the way society is, and I think it was probably, maybe implanted in our culture, in the zeitgeist, to make fun of it for so long,
Yes.
Now, and I will tell you, in the comedy world, it's a pretty hacky premise now.
Yeah.
It's not an original premise. If you wrote an alien joke, ha, ha, ha. No, actually, if you write the joke now, you better do it about them being here, being real. And not Billy Bob, being diddled in a cornfield by a little green man. You know what I mean? It's bigger than it's something that's really actually happening. But I
Yes.
mean, but that's kind of like, once again, we talked about a technique that is kind of used in society. You want to downplay something, you want to smash it with humor. It's silly. You'll be laughed at if you even talk about it. And but now that's not the case. Now that's probably one of the good things that the internet. I go back and forth with the internet all the time. Like, there's things I absolutely hate about the internet, but then there's really good things that it has done, and creating a sense of community and connection. So, but that's awesome. So you started a support group,
essentially a support group, and it's turned into like this crazy, huge, sprawling, wonderful, amazing thing. I just can't get over it.
So it's not AA, but it's AAA. Maybe aliens and I don't know. In Albuquerque.
Albuquerque Aliens Anonymous.
Albuquerque Aliens Anonymous. AAA. Well, that's awesome though. It is, and it just keeps growing. So do you guys? So it's kind of like a convention, right? You said you have speakers.
We have all kinds of crazy events. We just had a meetup at a coffee shop the other day. We had over 75 people totally take over this coffee shop. I mean, we filled it wall to wall. Everyone just hanging out, talking about UFOs, and these are just local Albuquerque folks.
Well, where you're at in the country, it's a big part of the culture there. It is a big thing.
Yeah. Hey, Roswell happened in New Mexico.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I'm sure you do have a lot of believers.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
And it is, just like it, you have to take it as it comes, but it is part of tourism. It is revenue for the area.
It is.
Which doesn't downplay it. Doesn't mean it's not real. It just means, hey, something crazy happened here, in the 40s. Let's make some money off of it.
Yeah, every year Roswell's about 3.5 hours drive from Albuquerque. You go south and a little bit east. And every July, Roswell has a big UFO festival. And I go every single year, and I'll never miss it. It's so much fun. This year, it's the 5th through the 7th. And you get to listen to all kinds of famous ufologists who have been, studying all kinds of things, give lectures at the International UFO Museum there. There's an electric lights parade at night where everyone dresses up as aliens.
Nice.
Yeah, they got a film festival going, a street fair. It's just the whole town. This alien wonderland.
We had an alien expo convention in Knoxville a few years back.
Cool.
And it was very fun. I will say this. I loved it. There was a lot of really Travis Walton was there speaking.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him, and but I'll be honest with you, Birdie. Whenever I attended that I think that was in 2017.
Yeah,
I was on the fence. I wasn't a believer per se, and but it was very interesting to me. And, to hear Travis Walton tell his story, interesting. There were some other people, I can't even remember their names, not near as famous as Travis Walton, but they told some very interesting stuff.
Yes.
And one woman in particular who has passed away since she had a brain tumor and has passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But she had a very interesting story she told, and I left there, the kind of seed was planted. And then there was this, I don't know this guy's name. Hell, we might have him on the show sometime, but boy, he was a pissed off astronaut. He was pissed. I wore a NASA t-shirt, and he yelled literally all the way across the whole damn room. He goes, "You know what NASA stands for?" I was like, oh, what? What's going on?
I've got to hear this.
Never a straight answer. So I was like, all right, but so I bought his mug, and then I moved on with my life. But anyways, it was a very cool thing. And I wish they would do another one because, me, my wife, and my daughter, we went to it. And luckily my daughter is, I guess, she's used to having weird parents because we take her to all kinds of crap like this. And that's
awesome.
We got another question.
All right.
here we go. From once again, at this point, I'm just going to have her come on the show, and she'll be like,
Liv, you got to join my group. We need you, honey.
There, yes, and Liv will do that. Liv will join your group. You would love to have her. Liv, let's see. She asks, do you have any Native American / indigenous peoples in your UFO group? If so, do you know what their take is on this evolving UFO, other universes community? Have you interviewed any shamans? Besides, well, I'm not a shaman, but I can do remember the thumb thing. So
yeah, you're great at the thumb thing. Liv, that is an excellent Liv, that is truly an excellent question. I mean, living in New Mexico, we have, we're called a minority majority state, the only one in the United States, because, most of the people who live here in New Mexico are of Hispanic origin or Native American origin. And we do have quite a few number of Native Americans in my UFO group. And I have been out on different reservations and different Native American pueblos and talk to people about UFOs and what they've seen and what their experience and how they place it in their world. And it is a different perspective. I think that most of the Native American cultures in New Mexico are very open to the whole UFO phenomenon because it's part of their entire life story. Some of them believe that they came from star people, or that people from the stars had something to do with their origins or have guided them in some way. Many of the cultures here have built monuments that have astronomical significance, like Chaco Canyon here in New Mexico is an absolutely incredible place built by the Anasazi many hundreds of years ago, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. And the ruins are still there, but on the solstice, the sun goes right through a little slit in the stone, and you can see the imprint of the sun at a particular location. It's an incredible experience. But many of these cultures have this kind of feeling that we have our human family, right? Each other. And we also have a cosmic family. And those are just as important part of who we are. So yeah, that's a good question.
And it's amazing. Like, you can get so many answers if you just look at like the Native Americans or indigenous people. They knew this stuff way before we did.
Yes, yes, they did.
Even, yes. I mean, you take it as, with UFOs, the spirit realm, cryptids, big Sasquatch, Bigfoot, all that.
Oh, Bigfoot is seen all over New Mexico, and most of the Native American cultures here who live in areas, wooded and mountainous areas here, they have a relationship with Bigfoot. It's not just that maybe they've seen one, that, sometimes they leave things out for Bigfoot. Bigfoot may leave things back for them. It's really quite amazing. We have the Navajo Rangers who live out in Dulce, New Mexico, and they give talks around the country and talk about all the experiences on the Jicarilla Apache Nation here in New Mexico. It's really remarkable.
I mean, just with, that alone, I mean, it's impressive. You can't argue with it. That, to me, that's plenty of proof. I tell you what, this is what I want to do. We got to jump over here to, we got to give shout out, let our sponsors pop in here. And as soon as we come back from the break, though, Birdie, I want to ask you about this magazine. Talk about a little about this coming up.
All right.
Guys, hang around. Okay. We'll be right back here with Birdie Jaworski.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to Beyond the TinFoil Hat, and we are here with Birdie Jaworski. Did I mess up your last name?
Jaworski.
Jaworski,
okay.
Got it. There we go. Well, there's a saying, you know you're special if they mess up your name.
That's very true. That's very true.
I've been Danny Winston. I've been Danny Watson. You know, so it just Birdie Jaworski. Yes. So there we go. I waited till it came across the screen and made sure I got it right.
There you go.
Anyways, I tell you what, though, but if you guys are just not tuning in, we've got Birdie here, and she has been a fantastic guest tonight, guys. But let's move on and talk about this magazine, Saucer Spin. Something super exciting. When did you decide to do this? And tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so I decided to do this at the beginning of the year. I wanted to launch a magazine because we kind of need that in this UFO space, something that where people can submit their own stories about what's happened to them, or reviews of podcasts, reviews of books. You can find all this stuff all over the internet, but I wanted something cool that people could either read online or hold and read physically. Like it's a real magazine. And And I thought I could get it out a lot quicker. I have a background in publishing. I used to own a newspaper. I used to publish a cryptocurrency magazine. So I have this publishing experience, but this has taken me a little bit longer because I've wanted to get it absolutely perfect. And now we're just about ready to launch. And fingers crossed, next week, the first issue hits the stand, so to speak, at least hits the website, and you'll be able to order physical copies on Amazon and other locations. And it's called Saucer Spin, which is a kind of a cute name, which can be, you can think about spin and, you know, the many different uses of the word. So I think it was a little clever. And it has, you know, and the feature article, I think, is going to be pretty surprising to people, because a couple years ago at the Roswell UFO Festival, we were talking about before the break, one of the speakers was unannounced ahead of time, but ended up being Lou Elizondo.
Oh,
yeah, famous Lou, the head of ATIP and one of the kind of architects of the current disclosure movement. And at the time, right before Roswell, he had made the podcast rounds. If you recall, he went on over 200 different UFO-based podcasts. I mean, every 2-bit podcast out there. And if a podcast had 5 viewers, he was on that podcast talking about UFOs and the importance of disclosure. And it was remarkable. Literally every single day for about a year, you could watch Mr. Elizondo on one of these shows talking, and people were dissecting every single remark he made. And it, kind of became almost the Church of Elizondo, right? Where people were evaluating every comment. He made cryptic comments like, well, when the truth comes out, it's going to be sobering and somber. And people would, all over Twitter and on Reddit would be dissecting these comments. And then he went to Roswell and he gave a lecture there, free lecture. And the room was not entirely full, because the people that come to the festival come to have a good time. They're not necessarily the hardcore UFO nuts, like myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the room were people that really didn't know his history or who he was, hadn't watched obsessively all 267, however many it were, podcasts that he did, and weren't really sure. And he gave a really interesting lecture, and no one was allowed to photograph or record it or, take a video of it. But I have excellent shorthand from all my years in writing and publishing, and I transcribed the whole thing. So the main feature article is what actually did Lou Elizondo say at Roswell, because it was very different than anything he has said in any of his other podcast experiences. So yeah, so that's our feature article. I think it's going to be eye-opening, super interesting for folks. And I see Liv has a question. What is the cost of Saucer Spin? Absolutely 100% free to read online. Every article, every issue is always going to be free. Everything I do is free, open to the public. And if you would like to buy a physical copy, they will be available on Amazon. And they'll be, it's not going to be that much money,
Well, first of all, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's not buy my book. But we love that. We love that.
Yes,
will
Liv,
include
definitely.
artwork. Liv wants to know.
Yes,
There's
it
so
will.
much interesting channeled or memory art. Absolutely, there is.
Absolutely, there is really cool artwork, and we are open for submissions. If you are interested in submitting an article about your experiences or a book review, say you want to review one of Richard Dolan's awesome books, or you want to review this podcast that we're on right now, or another podcast that you enjoy, or if you want to write an article about somebody who's doing something interesting out there, or even if you want to tell your own UFO encounter, absolutely send it on in. And your article and your artwork, and send in artwork too. We are looking for absolutely everything, and we're hoping once we get it out there that it's going to be a bi-monthly magazine. It was originally going to be every month, but then I decided, you know what, that is a heck of a lot of work, so let's make it every other month, because it's taken me a while to get this first issue out. And then, but once the first of anything out there. It's like, you're a comedian, your first stand-up show that you ever did, it probably took like a gazillion hours to put together, right?
Oh yeah, trust me.
Yeah,
Trust me,
right.
it's a lot of work.
But then the subsequent ones, well, then you kind of knew what to do and it wasn't as much work. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this.
Absolutely,
Fingers
absolutely. But I think this is a fantastic idea. You know, especially there's a lot of people on the experiencersupport.org webpage that submit articles. There's people
neat
members of part of TESA that submit. So I'm sure they would, you know, will be sending stuff your way. But I think this is awesome. This is awesome. And I love the way, something that I like to say here on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat is keep the paranormal normal. And this is what you're doing.
That's exactly right. Oh, and hey, and the magazine also has a crossword puzzle and comics and an advice column written by an alien.
Nice.
You can ask the alien your questions.
I love it. Like Dear Abby.
It's just like Dear Abby. That's exactly right.
I think that is awesome. That is. Now, so now with your group, do you do like a festival, like how they do at Roswell? Do you do a big? I mean, you said you have like speakers and come, but is it like a almost kind of like a fair type atmosphere?
We haven't had a fair type thing yet. In May, we are having our very first annual.
I love that.
What the heck? I have this like AI driven camera, and when I do finger things, then I don't know, you're stuck with my face now. That's all right.
I love the way, no, this is perfect. You were about to make the big announcement.
I know, completely unintentional.
Now, we would have people, I've had guests on here before, anytime something weird like that happens, they're like, it's them. You know?
This is not them. This is this little AI camera I got on Amazon, and you do little hand motions and it does things, but I haven't trained it properly, obviously. So in May, we're having our first annual group picnic at the largest park here in Albuquerque. And then next spring, we are going to have our very first UFO conference. And we are inviting super amazing, cool speakers. It's going to be glorious. It'll be a weekend event, and everyone's welcome to come on out for that. We don't have the details or the dates for that yet, but I do have a Rose, who is our conference chairwoman, and I hope she's watching tonight. Hey, Rose. Oh my God, she is a fireball, and she is putting this conference together like you can't believe. She's very experienced and has worked with UFO conferences before. So we're going to have an amazing time. And
this will be in Albuquerque. Nice.
Yeah. So take a trip on out, gang.
Hey, that sounds awesome. And I think the magazine, I don't know if anything like that exists, but if it doesn't, it
hasn't in a long time. There used to be UFO magazines out there. It was a thing, in the 70s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. And with the age of the internet, all of this has slowly gone away. But I think that having something that's real like that's real and that's lasting, that has different issues and subjects is super cool.
And like I said, in like this time era that we're living in right now, to where it's interface, it's
exactly.
Let me add, I found this interesting, and a lot of people sometimes like to connect, like the UFOs and or the aliens that they're coming here maybe to say, hey, quit destroying this place that you guys live on, or maybe this is their place too. They've been here the whole time, and they're just looking at us like these dumb apes. Hey.
Right.
What are you doing? So the beekeeping thing.
Yes.
Okay. So we know that, first of all, that's great for the environment. That's something that, you're doing, the Lord's work. Okay. Doing beekeeping. What do you think are the possibilities of maybe that's maybe something they want you to do? And maybe, that's part of you being such sensitive to this subject.
That's actually a really great question.